Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mom. It is March. The thing on everyone's mind is St. Patrick's Day, and we decided to take the idea of the holiday and its connection to luck as our overarching topic.
Yeah, we had a great conversation defining luck and comparing it to spirituality, well-being, law of attraction, manifesting, all the things. The conversation for our listener is broken up into 4 episodes released throughout the month of March, and we'll label them parts 1, 2, 3, 4, just in case the listener wants to listen in order. But yeah, I was surprised how deep the conversation got, especially the idea around luck being a force. And this thought took us deeper into the idea of God and really had us processing our spiritual beliefs. You know, we questioned whether luck was an internal or external force. So is it something that we create from our own thoughts and feelings, or something that's outside having an impact on our lives that we have no control over? And how would that be like our idea of God?
Absolutely. It brings up a lot of questions. You know, is God good? Is he involved? Is God caused bad luck? Is he internal, external? Is he both? Is God really in control of our world, or is he limited? So yeah, it was really surprising and fascinating. It was a great conversation, and I don't think we expected to get so deep into luck, but I know I've never spent so much time thinking about it, but I really enjoyed it. I hope for our listeners you really enjoy it. But yeah, reach back out to us. Let us know if anything sparked a new idea for you about spirituality, mystery, luck, or any of those things.
All right, it was a great conversation, so let's get into it. I guess that's why I'm kind of having trouble with the concept of force, because I think of it as an intelligent thing, as a directed thing, as intentional. And there could be trouble with that definition, though, because like, what does that say then about bad luck?
Yeah.
And people who would say, I'm just not lucky. Bad stuff happens to me at every turn. And it's kind of like St. Patrick's life was like,
he was waiting for bad luck all the time.
I mean, he was a slave. He was, enslaved more than once.
Yeah. He was like in chains, and I think he was imprisoned. Maybe
he was imprisoned. He
was supposed to be delivered over for execution once, and then got released.
That's right. He had been arrested, was gonna be killed, and then released. But yeah, he was just saying people were, like behind his back all the time, and just kind of waiting to attack him and chase him down. And he took on like the wizards. He challenged the wizards on the equinox. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff. He got himself into all these precarious situations trying to preach the good news of Jesus to the Druids. It's, so in his book Confessions, it says, he wrote, "As every day arrives, I expect either sudden death or deception, or being taken back as a slave, or some such other misfortune. But I fear none of these, since I look to the promise of heaven and have flung myself into the hands of the all-powerful God who rules as Lord everywhere." So I like that quote because it talks about, to me, the perspective that you could have. And I think this is where the idea of manifestation kind of comes in for me, because the idea of manifesting says that whatever you have in your mind, you can hold in your hand. Bob Proctor always said that. If you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand.
That's so cool.
And thoughts turn to things. And so manifesting is this whole powerful moment, and the law of attraction and all these things that say, like, whatever we focus our mental energy on and create a picture in our mind, and we hold to that picture, it will come to us. Like the universe, aka God, or whatever you want to call it,
or good luck
or luck,
whatever
like whatever it is, will bring that thing into your existence, like in a real, tangible, manifested, physical way. And so if you are this type of person who is just constantly thinking about negative things and, oh, I'm just full of bad luck. Oh, nothing goes right. Oh, my life sucks. Oh, I'll never find a partner. Oh, I'll never find a good job. Oh, I'll never, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if we're just ruminating on this negativity, that has its own frequency, its own energy, its own vibration, and that is going out from you. Thoughts have vibrations. And so if that is what's pouring out of you into the universe, even if it's unspoken, it goes out even if that's your thought.
Yeah.
Then the law of attraction or the law of reciprocity will say that that's what comes back to you, because those are frequencies, those are energies, and they will find like energies, like frequencies. And so you will connect with, you will hook up with those energies in your life. That's why it's interesting when I hear people say often, I hear women in particular, just because I'm in a lot of circles of like for divorce support and stuff. And just a lot of my single lady friends have said things like, why do I always attract these types of men?
Whoa.
Why do I always find the jerk? You know? And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe there's something to be said right there about this whole manifesting thing and like the law of attraction and the law of energy and stuff like that. And so, but we even do it with our own bodies, because thoughts have energy, and because they are frequency, if we're in these low frequency, low vibration thoughts, we make ourselves literally sick. Like our body, that vibration speaks to the cells in our body and all the things. So like if we're getting sick all the time, or I don't know, like some people would even blame, like, or not blame, some people would attribute really bad diseases like cancers and, you know, things like that to these types of thoughts, these types of feelings. Wow. And there's a lot of research in Eastern medicine about the connection between emotions. Like we've talked about that on the podcast before, about emotions getting trapped in the body. And then it's not surprising then 20, 30 years later, you find that part of the body ill, like a liver cancer or a stomach cancer or, you know, something like that. And why they think it's hereditary, like that trauma goes down through the generations.
Yes, it does.
And so if you're carrying generational trauma in your body from, you know, your parents, your grandparents, great grandparents, and then you're dealing, you know, like it's just, it's a really fascinating subject. And I think the cool thing is like we're only now in this day and age starting to have the actual tools and technology to see and to measure these things.
Yeah. Something I was just thinking about as you were talking about manifesting is I wonder, I don't know that I think it, but I wonder if people can be manifesting things and trying to manifest really good things, but are still experiencing bad things. I feel like if anything, that's what we're going to get back in like comments on the podcast. If people are going to be like, I manifest all these good things, but bad things keep happening to me. What's happening to me? And I was just thinking about that and how I would answer that. And I remember we were talking a little pre-game, and we were talking about how I think some of it has to do with mindset as well. Because if we view the things that are happening to us as just automatically bad, I think, like, I have been sick, excuse me, I've been sick 3 times in the last 2 months. And this last time when I was sick, this last week, I was so depressed. I was like, I'm so tired of sitting on my couch. I'm so tired of feeling like crap. I just want to go. Yeah. I want to work. I want to see friends. I want to go shopping. Like, all the things. But I was texting you about it. I was like, gosh, why am I getting sick all the time? I'm so tired of this. I'm so stressed. And I think that's part of it is the stress. But what is, what could be my mindset with that, rather than like, I'm just manifesting making myself sick.
Manifesting
I
my
might
cold.
be. So, let me think about that. But how's my mindset receiving that even? Because if in my mind, I think I'm manifesting success. Like, I want to be successful with the podcast, with Mary Kay, with my full-time job as well. How am I manifesting that and still getting sick all the time? And I was thinking through that, and okay, how am I receiving being sick? Maybe this is a gift to slow down. I've been stressed because I want to be super successful with Mary Kay. So I've been working really, really, really hard and had really little comeback. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm just sick again, I can't do any work. I can't do any work. I need to rest.
Yeah.
And I was telling you how I feel like, for me, I believe it's the universe, it's God, whatever, it's divinity. It's always like a little nudge, like you need to refocus a little bit. You need to rebalance. You need to like sit down, you need to have some peace. And so I took that time, and now as I'm recovering, I'm going into this balance of the podcast and Mary Kay and my full-time job with a completely different perspective than I have so far. I'm like, okay, Mary Kay might need to sit on a further back burner than it has been. I might need to put less hours into that. I'm going to be okay with bringing in less money with that, because I still have a good number of months/years before I even have to think about that being my full-time job. And with my full-time job right now, I've got a possible promotion sitting right there, like right in front of me. So how am I going to take care of what I have while manifesting that success? It doesn't mean that success is going to drop right in my lap right now, but it means if I'm manifesting the right stuff will come at the right time. I think that's the kicker, because I think a lot of people have this belief that, well, if I'm manifesting the good thing, where is it? This may not be the right time. You might not even be ready. I might not be ready.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. And it reminds me of something somebody said on Facebook. I put out like a little, would you consider yourself a lucky person? And one person said, the harder I work, the luckier I am.
Hey Mom, I'm having so much fun doing this podcast with you. Thank you so much for being open to the idea of a podcast. Just a project that is centered around vulnerable conversations and showing up for other people.
Yeah, it's a joy, and I'm so glad we live in a time where we can create content like this and hopefully bless someone who's looking to engage with other people on topics that really mean something to our human experience.
Absolutely. I know we invest a lot of time and money into creating this show, and we want our viewers to know that we are listener supported. So if this episode has been helpful or entertaining in some way, would you consider buying the show a coffee?
Yeah, it's a fun way to support the project and help us know that it blessed you. If buying a coffee, though, isn't something you can do right now, we'd love it if you would rate and share the show episodes on your own social media and help us reach more people.
Yes, we'd really appreciate all the prayers, good vibes, whether you buy us a coffee or share the content. We just want you to know we value you and your presence, and we can't wait to see where this project goes.
All right, check the show notes for links on how to buy us a coffee, but for now, let's get back to the conversation. Like, really just to say, luck is not arbitrary.
Yeah.
Luck has to do with me and the effort I put out into the world. Or the steps that I take. There's this whole thing about like, I was just in the right place at the right time, or I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or there's just both perspectives of what the outside force, how much what's the word I'm looking for? How much an outside force that you have no control over, how much effect that has on you versus, my own ability to check my thoughts, make sure my perspectives are positive, high vibration, and that I'm putting that out, and that I'm, doing the things that I can do as far as I can do them, and then leaving the rest up to universe, God, force, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people really struggle with that, because I did spend a good amount of time in the whole like new age world manifest view thing realm. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Where a lot of people would struggle with, like, okay, so why, like, I believe that's possible. I'm meditating every day. I've got my vision board. I'm, like, practicing every day, thinking about what it is that I want. Say, like, I'm trying to manifest a certain amount of money, and I'm doing all the things that, you manifesting teacher are telling me to do. Why isn't it here yet? And there's all these explanations about why. And, well, the fact that you're even concerned that it's not here is what's holding you back, and just all these things, right? It's all like, I don't know. Some of it's marketing, and I don't know. I won't get too into that. I think there's just something to be said about, there definitely are two camps, where some people really think that luck is not even a thing. Everything depends on you or me. Everything depends on me and my energy and my vibration and what I put out into the world. But then there's definitely the other camp who is like, I swear I am focusing on all the good things and all the positive things, and I'm still seeing crap things happen. Yeah. And it makes me think about, too, like children or childhood cancer, or like, just how bad things can happen to, quote, good people. And it's making me think of this story in the Bible where the disciples came to Jesus and they were like, okay, this guy's blind. Why is he blind? Who made him that way? Like,
what did his parents do?
What did his parents do, like, to make him blind? And Jesus is like, okay, well, that's kind of baloney and you're totally off track. So let's just move on. But he basically tells them, like, nobody did anything to cause that to happen. That's just something that happened, and God is now stepping into this moment and is going to reveal himself and glorify himself as the healer and the redeemer of all of these things. And so I don't know, it's really interesting, and I don't feel like I can really, like, say I definitively land one way or another that I think luck is this or luck is that. It is a thing, it isn't a thing, because with every time you turn around, like with this friend on Facebook that was saying, everything is energy, everything is vibration. Like to so far, I really can get behind that. Because I believe in the power of our mind. I believe in the power of our thoughts, our perspective, and our vibration. I've seen that energy can be, like, we have tools now that can be pointed at inanimate objects and see that there's energy coming off of them. So I know and I understand, even from just a scientific space, that there is such a thing as the quantum field, and there's all kinds of stuff happening in that realm that we're just in the last 100 years or so beginning to really discover and measure and be able to see. And at the other side of it, I also see children with cancer, and I also see tsunamis wiping out entire villages, and I also see catastrophe and devastation and all these things. And I wouldn't say, I cannot get behind this idea that some of my friends might say, God caused those things, or even maybe he didn't cause it, but he allowed it. God allowed those bad things for this purpose, for that purpose, like for a reason. I just think, I don't know, for me, that goes a little too far with, like, if God is love and God is good always, if God looks like Jesus, I can't reconcile those two ideas, that God allows tragedy, like something so horrific, to even pass through his hands and not do anything about it or not prevent it, or I don't know. There's this interesting book is in my queue. It's in the queue to read. I haven't read it yet, but it's called God Can't. And it's this really intriguing idea to me that God is not, there's another one called God is Not in Control. Those are two books I really can't wait to read, because I think they're going to blow my Western Christian mind to bits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited to read them, because I think there's something to be said about how much we attribute to God. You know what I mean? Like, God caused this, or God allowed this, or God hated this, or God hated that, or God killed these people. God killed that tribe of people. God killed that whole nation of people. Like, I don't care that that's what the Old Testament has been transcribed to say. That doesn't make it right. Like,
yeah,
I've done the work of translating, you know, and so it's not as cut and dry as, you know, we read the Bible, right? And we've been taught to like take it as infallible, take it as
omniscient,
perfect.
Omniscient? That might not be the right word.
No, that's a word for God, but like, it's infallible, it's inerrant, meaning it can't err, it can't be.
It's literally the breath of God, like.
Right. And so then we read it and we're like, what the heck? It's like God has this personality disorder.
It's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
It's like God's like, I love you. I killed those people, by the way.
Love you. Now go kill those people and all their babies. And like, I don't know. There's just so many things that if we're talking about a force that causes good or bad things to happen, like, what is that? And can we ascribe that to God? Or do we have to rethink the idea of God? Or do we have to rethink the idea of the Bible and how it was translated? Or like, I know we're getting into like really the heavy spiritual side of this now, which is okay. For the people who don't believe in God, I'm really curious to hear, you know, hopefully they'll leave some comments, or they'll, you know, connect with us somehow to kind of share with us, like, if there's no God or a force like that, you know, and maybe it is what my friend said, you know, that it's just energy, it's just vibration, it just comes down to that. But then my next question would be then, so what do we do with childhood cancer, and what do we do with?
Yeah. Part of me is really, really wondering about that, is because, you know, I've grown up with that belief of God allows these things to grow us, to shape us, whatever. And perhaps taking those people out with the tsunami was, you know, for some reason, whatever, for the family who didn't pass away. Now they learn something about God, and then those people have been swept away to heaven, whatever. But part of me wonders if because in the Old Testament, God is portrayed as being super active. Like, he's actively speaking with people. He's actively having visions with, like, and it is over hundreds and hundreds of years. But like Abraham, Moses, like, Abraham saw God as everything from a smoking pot to being like having a vision of him. And Moses saw him as a burning bush and a pillar of fire and a pillar of cloud, and saw literally the back of God, is what the Bible says. But after Jesus came, all of that, like, God got really quiet. And I think that was intentional. Because God says, you know, I'm sending the Holy Spirit to you. Well, Jesus, same thing, whatever. Says, I'm sending the Holy Spirit to you, which is an energy. And that would make a lot of sense to me if it's like, it's all energy. Well, yes, God is also energy. And I think those, like, that physical form of God is obviously gone. and not gone like forever, like in heaven, I am assuming. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't
You mean
even
the
know.
personhood of Jesus?
Yeah, like
Okay.
the humanity, like that's
Gotcha.
over and done with. Like Jesus is not coming back to live a second life on earth, I don't think. The Bible doesn't prophesy anything like that. But I do think that, like, it makes me wonder if God sent the Holy Spirit and was like, all right, now until the second coming, I'm going to sit back a little bit, because he created the earth. The earth has been, I think, further corrupted than like what it was originally intended to be. Like, I think that God knew what was going to happen when he created the earth, but he still created it to have this moment of the Garden of Eden, almost like sharing heaven on earth with Adam and Eve. Which this is going to be like tricky theologically to even like talk about here, but it's okay. We can have these open discussions and ask all the crazy questions.
We're just playing.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it just makes me think of God just maybe sitting back a little bit. And I know there's people who believe there's a God, but he's uninvolved. And I wouldn't go that far. He's not uninvolved. His energy's still here. His energy is in me. It's in you. Like, we are each the breath of God. The tree outside is the breath of God. Like, I believe that God is more than just this singular presence. I believe that he's in kind of a little bit of everything. But it makes me wonder if he's just kind of sitting back a little bit, like allowing the things to happen to allow us to be taught. And that sounds really mean of God, though. So like, now I'm having a hard time reconciling that in my brain. I'm like, ooh, I don't know now.
But that's perfect, right? Like, that's why we have these conversations, because it really forces us to dig deep and ask the question. And really, when we say it out loud, because I feel like we go through our life, especially when we're raised Christian, like this Western Christian world, right? We're raised to believe certain things.
Oh, yeah.
Or like we come to believe certain things. Like, my mom didn't raise us religious, but I went to church with like family friends or whatever. So like, in a sense, I was raised. I grew up in the Western Christian world and hearing all of those things. And then, you know, we were in this organization that was very cult-like. And so it was very drilled hardcore, all this inerrancy, infallibility of like the Holy Bible, the words on the page, you know, God doing things, his ways are higher than our ways is kind of how it was always explained, like why bad things happen. Whoops. And so having these conversations is so good, because it's like, okay, well, let me unpack that. And then it leads to another thought, and it's like, okay, well, wait, that kind of makes the other thing that I was just saying a little tricky. And so, you know, so I love it. I love that. It's what we're here for.
Why we do it.
This is the thing. This is becoming home for each other, because there's not a ton of super safe places we can do that. There's, you know, when you go out in the Christian world and you try to say God can't do something or God's not in control, you know, it's like, you know,
hitting over the head with a Bible. Oh my gosh.
I know, like people are gonna come running at you with pitchforks, you know, in some instances, you know. True. Thankfully, you know, there are some safe places, and this is one of them. So, you know, so being able to unpack, like, okay, well, what if we say luck is, if we are kind of looking at the spiritual perspective of luck being something that kind of is external, like we've looked at how manifesting and all that is kind of from the inside out. But if we take a minute to kind of think about, okay, let's consider it being an outside in approach. What does that mean? If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share the love and buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/the Becoming Home podcast. And hey, if you want to connect with us, you can find Joe on Instagram at committing_2_change, or find the link in the description or the show notes.
Absolutely. And if you want to connect with my mom, Charlene, you can find her at fullyabundantlife.com, which will also be in the description and show notes. The Becoming Home podcast is a passion project to bring multi-generational perspectives to the hard topics that we face, becoming home for one another through vulnerability and respect. And we hope it has blessed you today.